Dude, what's happening?
In addition to this being one of the most unbelievable landscapes I've ever been in and taken photographs of, this has actually been some of the trickiest, technically, landscape photography that I've done in quite a long time.
My name is Kemper Simpich. For the past 14 years, I have been honing my photography craft in the mountains of Colorado and the American West. Join myself and my brother Toby as we explore, photograph, and enjoy the art of the natural world through landscape photography. Every once in a great while, you stumble on a new landscape that truly blows your mind. This location, that doesn't even have an official name, is one of those places.
So you can see my super long shadow dragging up because we're running out of time. But we're gonna walk up past this stunning thing. It's so much sharper or like narrower than I thought it was in the pictures. Almost so steep here that
Yeah, this is a good
workout.
45, almost 50-degree angle.
You might be looking at it thinking, oh, that'd be sick to climb. No, it would not be. I think you'd kill it and yourself.
I have to say that my first shots of this place are not anything particularly special because honestly, I was completely overwhelmed by this location. I had researched this place quite a bit and felt like I knew what I was getting into with it. But once I was actually there, I was completely overwhelmed with just how extreme and intense this location was. So I did take some initial shots just at the base of this spire, of this otherworldly landscape. And it took me a minute to really get my feet under me and to discover what I actually wanted to capture at this location.
See? I'm not going to touch it again. But I don't know if you can see the composition of it. So fragile.
Wow. You can see this sick spire behind us. I can honestly say, so the technical term for what's behind us, as far as I know, would be a hoodoo. It's a Native American name based on the sound wind makes as it whips around it, which is pretty cool. And I haven't seen a hoodoo as like weirdly smooth as this one is. You saw the side of it. It's almost like a dried lake bed across the side.
This term might be a little overused, but I can't say that I've ever felt before in my entire life like I was on another planet. It completely lacked any vegetation whatsoever. And everything around us was made out of the same material, this dried, almost mud-like material. And it was almost a spooky experience. Like I genuinely feel like my brain didn't completely know what to do with this environment. Like I could have been in a movie, in Star Wars, or in The Lord of the Rings, which ultimately, like, it did feel like we've been transported to a fantasy location like Mordor in Lord of the Rings. And it took me quite a while to get my head around doing actual photography here and where I wanted to do the photography. But I found this perch up on this hill, clear on the other side of the basin. And as soon as I got up there, I knew that this was where I was going to take the shots of sunset.
Kemper has found his perch hole.
The shot. Sun gets a little lower. We're gonna kill it.
Heck yeah, we are. Let's go.
What even is this place?
All of the ground here in this basin almost is like bark. It's almost like charred bark. I don't know how else to put it, but it just crumples into nothing in your hand.
So once my heart rate and just brain had settled a little bit and I was able to start doing the photography, the sun was setting slowly. We were facing west and we had direct sunlight on the lens with a few passing clouds. And this first shot I have is like of the sun is slightly obstructed by the cloud in the distance, but the dynamic range in this situation was so tricky. And I actually got a couple of shots I really liked. I also got this shot, which I really don't know which one I actually like better. So I'm going to include both. This second shot, the sun is out from the clouds a little bit more. So I have a little bit more of the sun star and artifacting also in the frame, but I have the light actually hitting areas of the landscape, which I actually really like that detail, hitting the side of the spire, hitting the path down below us, and of this rock formation over to our left. So I really like both of these shots, but it was really difficult with the sun directly hitting the front of my lens like that.
All right, so in addition to this being one of the most unbelievable landscapes I've ever been in and taken photographs of, this has actually been some of the trickiest, technically, landscape photography that I've done in quite a long time. So this situation is like prime for a panorama. So I'm actually shooting at 85 millimeters here, but I want the whole scene. I want it compressed. I want the spire large in the shot. But like the light has been just incredibly hard to get because the sun was directly behind those clouds. It was directly behind it. So we were in this dark valley, direct sunlight hitting the front of the lens. And so I was doing a bracketing, which is not something that you have to do that often on modern sensors. Like your dynamic range is enough, but I really needed to do 3 stops. So what that means is that I was shooting 3 stops under, and then I was zeroing out on the meter, which was completely blowing out the sky. And then I was doing 3 stops over. The 3 stops over shot may or may not be actually used. It kind of depends, but it definitely pulled some of the detail from some of the shadows. I guess we'll see.
So I was wearing sunglasses that whole time, like a noob, and I'm colorblind, so that doesn't help. But I'm just realizing how black everything is. I thought it was much more orange, but Kemper describing it as Mordor is like really, as the sun is falling, it's really making sense.
I'm gonna say though that like, if you do come here, like obviously like it's a landscape photography haven, but definitely be nice. Like this feels desolate, but it also feels really, really fragile. I would also avoid this place if it has rained recently at all, because I would imagine that it's a nightmare. Like if this is wet, can you imagine? Like it's hard to walk. It's dry as an absolute bone out here. I'm pretty much exposing for the sky. I'm having to watch my meter like a hawk, because it's actually, I'm not watching my meter. I'm watching my histogram like a hawk, because there's some sneaky highlights up in those clouds that keep showing up. And I want that sky because it's so cool.
As the sun sank deeper under the clouds, I think the scene kind of evened out a little bit. The sky was still significantly brighter than the foreground, but I was really excited, and you started to get like the mood kind of shifted to less dynamic range, and you could kind of see the texture of the landscape, and the sky kind of mellowed out a little bit. And honestly, at this point, I thought this was going to be my favorite shot of the day. Like, it's kind of evening out. I like really what the sky is doing, and I was happy. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to love these shots that I'm getting of this. Little did I know what the conditions were going to turn into in the next few minutes.
It's 4 minutes from sunset, legit, folks. But I think we may be witnessing some little bit of color peeking through.
We don't like color. We don't need color in this amazing shot, do we? Actually, I want to, let's do 7.1. So, get the brightest spot in the sky, kind of right there. So yeah, this third shot's going to be kind of junk. It's like way too long. Ooh.
There's the wind that picks up right at sunset.
Every time.
As I was clicking away, taking photos, the sky behind the spire started to change and we started to see more red. And it was truly an unbelievable, exciting moment as a landscape photographer, or as just a person who loves experiencing moments in nature like this. And the entire time I was photographing, I was torn between two compositions, and one was a more vertical composition like this, and then also a wider, broader composition that I was taking as a panorama. And this to me is the strongest of all the images of that vertical composition. The sunset is just starting to go off in the background. You have texture and diffused light on the foreground and this dark spire shooting up into the sky. It was a truly amazing moment.
Dude.
What's happening? Oh. People are going to think we're AIing this.
This shot is one of my favorite shots I've taken over the last few years. It's the culmination of a lot of location research, finding this place and all that stuff, but also a lot of technical prowess because this was not an easy scene to photograph. As I've mentioned before, the dynamic range was so huge, and it was also a very difficult edit. I felt like it was so easy to have this shot look, over-processed or HDR. And even still, I think there will be viewers of this image that felt like this sunset might be fake or pumped up. I can tell you, I was there. It was not. And this is such an inspirational shot and location for me because it just is an inspiration to get out into the world and find new locations. Like this place, I'm sure, you can find information for it online. And Dark Spire of Utah, like I said, it doesn't have an official name. It doesn't even have an official trail that goes to it, but it is very inspirational to find a totally new environment to photograph like you haven't experienced or seen before. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is the third video in a series from a recent trip to Utah that we took. Definitely check out the other two videos from the series where we visit Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park. And if you'd like to see more landscape photography content and adventures, definitely hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it and want you to join. And with that, we'll see you on the next adventure.